In this video, I'm going to show you how you can automatically create proposals in your agency using automation and AI. The truth is, I'm going to show you a bit more than that. I'm going to show you how to actually set up a complete custom proposal system, 3 different automations, a fully custom sales meeting hub system within Airtable to give you guys a full insight on how you can actually create this automatic proposal system and implement it in your agency straight away. If you're new to this channel, you'll soon find out we don't hold anything back. I'm literally going to be building out the automations live with you guys, showing you a complete insight on how I actually think when actually building out these automations, and also giving you all the tools you actually need to just literally copy and paste this proposal system into your agency so you can start saving your closers time and allow them to do what they're actually best at doing, which is selling. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's get straight into how to create this system that automatically creates custom proposals for your clients. Let's get straight into it. So let's get straight into it, guys. As you can see, this is going to be a very, very comprehensive guide. There's a lot of things you actually need to cover within this tutorial because I'm not just showing you a simple automation to automatically create tutorials. I'm going to show you how you can actually create a whole system for your closers to allow them to automatically create proposals after a call. But first, let's talk about how we're actually going to use this. So I'll set the scene a bit. The way I kind of see this happening all starts with a discovery call. This probably will be useful in 2 call closes, or if you're doing one call closes using this as a backup. Let's say you have a discovery call or the first call, whatever, with a potential lead. It goes very, very well. And now you find in a position where you or one of your closers need to go ahead and create a proposal. Before I go over what we will do, let's go over what most people actually do in this situation. Firstly, they go over on their laptop, spend about 2 hours creating this perfect proposal, which will hopefully allow them to close that client and make some money. What some people also do is rather than spending 2 hours, they spend about 30 minutes crafting a perfect proposal using a template, which does definitely speed up the process and it makes life a lot easier. What I'm suggesting we do, and what I'm actually going to show you how to do in this video, we're going to set up a flow that whenever a discovery call happens, we send that your closer that's actually taking that call a message on Slack where they just have to fill out a form. Now, within this form, we're going to ask different information about the call, such as, for example, if they're qualified, if he closed them, and if a proposal is actually required, along with a bunch of different information about the actual prospect. We're going to obviously update the sales pipeline, and then we're going to use the form questions and a bit of AI to create this kind of perfect proposal. That's what I'm going to be showing you how to do in this video. I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get straight into how to actually set this up. So there's 5 different things you need to set up within this tutorial. It's going to be very, very detailed, which is why probably this video is a bit longer. First, I'm going to set up the sales hub. It's going to be on Airtable. This is basically just a database where you can track the different meetings and the different closers that each meeting is basically assigned to. We're going to set up the first automation to automatically create new meetings within this table to make sure everything's kind of tracked automatically. We're going to set up the form, obviously. We're going to set up the second automation that automatically sends a message to our closers when that call happens so they don't forget to fill out that form. And then we're going to set up the third automation, which is going to be most of the heavy lifting, where that proposal is actually being created using some sort of AI. So let's get straight into it. First thing we need to do is actually set up the sales hub. Now, when I say sales hub, I'll be honest, that is a bit of an exaggeration because it's not an entire sales hub. The main thing we're doing here is more like a sales meeting hub. So we want to track the different sales calls that each close is having. And for this, we're going to use Airtable. Now, I would always suggest creating kind of own custom internal platform. If you want to check out a video kind of explaining why I think that's the best software or the perfect software for any agency, and I recommend you check out this video in the top right hand corner. In order to keep it simple and as accessible as everyone, I want to start with a free Airtable database. It's going to look something like this, where we're tracking the different meetings and the different closes. But there's 2 main kind of databases that we need to have. First one is a meetings database where we're tracking different things such as the meeting title, the date, how long it actually is, the assigned sales rep, and any notes related to whether they're closed and if a proposal is actually required. And then we also need to track the different closers in a separate database. So here we're tracking the name of the closer, the assigned meetings they actually have, and any relevant notes. Let's go over to Airtable and we're actually going to build this live with you. So guys, as you can see, I've now entered my Airtable. This is my free account, so you can do this with a free account as well. And one thing I will say, actually, if you want to automatically just import all of these different resources I've got in this video from the automation templates, the Airtable database, even the actual form if you wanted to, you can check out the links in the description. We have them all for free, either in a digital product or maybe by the time you're watching this, we actually would have released our school community, which has all of those resources there for free. So check out the links in the description if you just want to copy and paste these right into your agency. But if you want to build it out with me, which I'll recommend, then let's go into it. So we're going to start from scratch. to make life a bit harder for ourselves. And we have a nice little yellow here. So we're going to need two tables like I showed you earlier. First one's going to be the meetings table. Let's save that. And the second one is going to be a closer table. Now, I'm going to build out a raw version of this now. We might have to come back to this when we kind of like the form and everything like that to add more variables, but I'd rather have something to start off with. So for the meeting, first we have the name, we'll leave that there. We'll have the notes, we'll leave that there. The assignee, we're going to go ahead and delete this field. And for the status, I'm going to head and delete that as well. So first thing I want to track is, this is just for sales, right? So if I actually rename the base, so we have a clear sales meeting hub, we just know that this is just for sales. Let's go ahead and add whether they're closed. And for this, I'm going to use the checkbox. Closed. I can also do this for qualified and just having a checkbox again. Once again, we're automatically going to import this from the form responses. Obviously, you can add as many things as you want. I also need to add a button whether they require a proposal. Now, let's see if we can use something else rather than just a checkbox. Nah, we'll just use a checkbox again. So I'm going to put proposal, question mark, perfect. And what else can we put? And if you go back to our and right here, we also need to have the date, obviously, very, very important. So we go plus and then look for the date, which is right here. And then we want to include the time on the date because these are sales calls. We don't really care what specific day we're having. We need to know also what time it is. So I'll use the same time zone for everyone. Put GMT, sure, and perfect. And we also need to add the duration, which will be, if I scroll down right here, and we also need to assign the assign closer. So if I go over to add a new field, and for this one, it's going to be linked on another record. And obviously the record is going to be from the closer table. Perfect. Go ahead and create that. Cool. I'll skip for now. I'm pretty sure that's it. Like I said, we probably might come back to this and add some more features later. But for now, I'm happy with this. Let's go over to the closer side of things. As you can see, we already can see they have those assigned meetings here. We have the name, the notes. We're going to take off the assignee and take off the status. That's it. Guys, that's pretty much our sales meeting hub completed. Like I said, we might need to touch this up a bit when we actually start creating different records. But for now, I'm just going to import some random data in terms of the closers. I'm just going to put Bob Jones. Oh, actually, one very, very important field we need to track here is the actual email. So if you scroll down, we're going to add the emails of the actual closers. This will allow us to actually assign different closers. You'll see what I mean in a second. It'll make a lot more sense when we actually build the different automations. And that's pretty much it. We're also going to go ahead and add the email of the actual lead here. So if you scroll down to email again, put lead. Oh, perfect, guys. Cool. So I'm happy with this. Let me just continue adding some example data. And for this email, I'm going to put fluxomate@gmail.com. Perfect. So this will be the closer we're actually going to play around with Fluxomate testing. Once again, if this doesn't make any sense to you at all, just skip maybe 5 minutes in the video and you're going to start seeing us putting these different automations and using this Airtable properly. So now we've actually gone ahead and completed Airtable database. We'll go ahead and change this to green. Now we can go and actually set up our first automation. For this, we're going to use automation tools. Now the two main ones are Zapier and Make. I say this quite a lot, but I always recommend you try out both of them and see which one you prefer. There's kind of massive discussion of which one's best. In my opinion, it's up to preference. I think you can do. I think Zapier is probably a bit easier to start off with. Make you probably do a bit more, but it does have a kind of steeper learning curve. But honestly, guys, both of them have free trials, so sign up to either one of them. I'm not sponsored by any of them, so can't make your own choice. This is the first automation we're going to be setting up. And for this example, we're going to be Zapier, but I don't want you to be too focused on a specific software you're using. You can do the exact same thing in Make, the same way you can do this exact same thing in, I don't know, ClickUp, for example, rather than Airtable. Try to focus on the actual structures and the frameworks I'm actually talking about rather than the specifics. So this is the first automation we're building out. Fairly simple. Whenever a call is booked, we want to find that closer within our sheet to make sure we actually assign them. And then we're going to update our meeting database to assign them to a specific meeting. And then we're also going to send them a message on Slack to notify them. Fairly simple automation. The only reason I'm doing this is because I want to have all the sales calls that are coming in actually tracked within that meeting database we created about a minute ago. About this, it'll be very, very messy if someone have to do this manually every single time a news call come in. So we're kind of building out a system for your sales meetings and your closers so they can easily track the different things that are actually going on. Let's go ahead and actually begin building on this automation. As you can see, I've opened up my Zap account that I use for all my different user automations. We're just going to go ahead and actually create a new one, and it's going to be a new Zap. Now, the trigger for this is going to be a new call coming in on Calendly. Let me actually touch on that for a second. Within Calendly, you can see I've got this right here. which is my YouTube test. This is going to be basically my sales call funnel. Once again, guys, do not get too focused on the specific software I'm using. If you're not using Calendly and using something like GHL, you can use the exact same thing. Yeah, say someone books in this call. At the moment, as you can see, it's a one-to-one call. But obviously, if you had different closes, you use the round robin feature. It's very, very easy to just implement straight away. So whenever someone books a call, this is where we're actually going to go ahead and update our database. So if we go back to Zapier, now we can actually set up the trigger. So for this is going to be a new event in Calendly. So I'm going to search for Calendly. I'm going to go ahead and press that. I'll zoom out a bit so it's not too big. Now we have to go ahead and choose the event. Now it's not going to be invitee cancelled. You can set different conditions if you want to kind of deal with someone actually canceling the event. But for this example, it's going to be invitee created. I'm going to press continue. We'll leave that. That's the account. Obviously, if you need to go ahead and connect your Calendly account or whatever software you're using, and we're going to leave the trigger as that. Perfect. So if you go ahead and test this, we should see the call that I tested a second ago. I can have myself on my own calendar in the YouTube test side of things. So if we test this, as you can see, we can see that call I literally booked in with my other email. Here you can see a couple of information. You can see my name. You can see the email of the prospect with it, which in this example is testing robbers. You can see the invitee email. And if you scroll down, you can see something very interesting. You can see the user email of the actual host that's taking a call. That's going to be very, very important, as you'll see in a second. So because this automation triggers for every single sales calls, the first thing we want to do is set up a filter that only allows us to go through 4 sales calls, because we're not tracking every single meeting that we have in our agency or within our Calendly or whatever, or we're just tracking the sales calls. So for this, we're going to search for filter by Zapier, and the condition for this is going to be triggered by the meeting name. So in this example, this meeting is called YouTube test. Obviously, if your sales calls link is called demonstration call, rather than put contains YouTube, you put contains demonstration. You get that deal. If you go ahead and test this, it should work now because that meeting is actually part of the YouTube test thing. Perfect. So the next thing we actually need to do now is find that specific closer. For this, I'm going to add a step, and because we're using Airtable as a kind of our sales meeting hub, I want to search for Airtable. And within Airtable for the event, we want to find a record, because all we're doing here is finding that closer that's actually taking this call. So I want to go ahead and connect your account, obviously. I'm actually going to go ahead and reconnect this because I don't think that new sales hub we just created will be on it. So I've added the base, I can add the sales meeting hub, grow on access. Perfect. Cool. So once we're in this, we go to action and we're going to find about a specific email, which is why it's important that I actually included that email field in that closer database. So for the base, it's going to be the sales meeting hub. And for the specific table, we're searching on the closer table. And the field we're actually looking for, or we're going to be searching for by, is the email. Search value, we can just enter that email straight from here. Now, be careful here. Don't include that invite email, because that's the email of the prospect that's booking a call. If you scroll down a bit, we can see that scheduled event host email. In this example is fluxomate@gmail.com. Perfect. So if you go ahead and test this, it should find that closer. I forgot his name. I'm testing something. Let's see. So as you can see, it's gone ahead and found a specific closer, which now we can go on to the next step, which is actually creating a meeting within our meeting database. So if we go over to add another step, and this time is going to be Airtable again, just like that. And this time for the event, it's going to be create a record. We'll create in a meeting within our sales meetings just to have everything kind of streamlined. This is part of a much larger kind of meeting system, but I'm just going to give you guys a quick run through so you can apply this, actually create proposals for your closers automatically. So same exact thing, it's going to be a sales meeting on the table this time, rather than close the table, we're going to edit the meetings table. So as you can see, there's a bunch of information we're going to include here. Let's go ahead and actually do that. So first, you have the name. This can come straight from Calendly. We have the YouTube, we have the invitee name right here. Notes, we're gonna leave it as that. We can include the notes that they actually submit from different questions and everything like that, but for now I'm just gonna leave it. Qualified, I'm gonna leave it. Closed, I'm gonna leave it. Proposal, I'm gonna leave it. The date I'm gonna enter just by going over here and entering this scheduled event start time. Don't worry that it's in this format. I'm sure Airtable will automatically deal with that. And for the duration, we can also edit that here just by scrolling down, finding the duration. It should be here somewhere. Yeah, here. Just leaving it as that. And 2 more things we need to add. First is the closer table. Now, rather than getting this from Calendly, I'm going to get it from the step we did previously where I actually found that closer, and we're just going to include that ID. And for the lead email, once again, it's going to come straight from Calendly. If you scroll down at the very top, you can see that invitee email, which is the email of the actual prospect. Perfect, guys. So if you press continue now, this should go ahead and create that meeting within our sales hub, which is automatically linked to the closer. So wait for it to load. Perfect. That's going ahead and done that. So if you just double check this on Airtable, we can see now the meeting has already been linked. But if you go to the meetings, just double checked, see it testing Roberts is here. And if you scroll there, we can have the date, the time, the duration, what specific closer is taking it, and the lead's email. And once again, on the closer table, we can see he's dealing with this particular meeting right here. There's a bunch more things you can do for creating different views for your closers and everything like that. Let's just focus on the automation side of things now. Last thing we want to do with this within this automation is send a message to the closer on Slack. Now, if you're doing this properly, I'd recommend sending a direct message to the closer. In order to actually do that, you just have to include a kind of row or column, sorry, within your Airtable database that has the closer's Slack channel ID, so you can just send them a direct message. However, just to make it simpler for us, I'm just going to include it in this testing channel right here. You can kind of think of this as the closing channel where all your closers actually stay. So we're going to send a quick message here just to let them know that a new call has actually been booked. To do that, we're going to go back in Zapier and we'll add another step, which is the last step of this automation. And for this, we're going to search for Slack because that's where we're actually sending a message. Once again, guys, if you're using something else other than Slack, like WhatsApp, you can do something similar. For the event, it's going to be scroll down to send a channel message. Now, once again, if you're doing this directly to the specific closer, you can just go to send direct message. Perfect. So we're going to press continue. Obviously, connect your Slack account. And then once you're here, you want to pick your channel. For this, there's going to be a testing channel, but obviously you'd have to spice it up and choose your closer channel or even the direct message. It's fairly simple. Now, for the text, it's going to be something very, very simple. I'm going to say new sales call booked for, and then I'm going to include that closer's name right here. And I include some information about the lead, such as the email and name, I guess. And also, will be nice and do the time. Obviously, you'd have to clean this a lot more if you're doing this properly, but I want to leave it as that for now. And then I want to press no in terms of the bot. And for the bot name, it's going to be our sales alert bot, I guess. And for the icon, I'm going to put robot underscore face. Perfect, guys. Cool. So if you go ahead and test this final step of the automation over to Slack, we should see that message come in for our closers. And as you can see, guys, right here, we have that new meeting coming in with the specific closer's name, the specific email of the attendee or the prospect, the name of the prospect, and the specific time. I'd recommend cleaning this up a bit, so formatting the times is a bit clearer. But for now, we're going to leave it as that. I'm happy with this, guys. That's the first automation done. Let me just go ahead and rename it to proposal automation #1. Once again, guys, this will probably be part of a much, much larger meeting system. For now, I'm happy with this because the main goal of this is to create a proposal. So now we're going ahead and create a first automation. We'll change this to green again. Let's just recap everything we've done so far. Firstly, we've gone ahead and created that Airtable sales meeting hub. We're tracking the different meetings that are coming in, and we're also tracking the different closers and the meetings they're having. We also went ahead and completed the first automation that whenever a call is booked, it will automatically update that Airtable database to assign a specific closer to the meeting, but also create a meeting and send a Slack message with that specific closer's information and the prospect's information in that closer Slack channel. Now it's time we actually go ahead and create that form. Once again, guys, in this scenario, it doesn't matter if you're using something like Google Forms, Tally, even Typeform. You want to just create a form somewhere. For this example, I'm going to use Google Forms, and there's a couple of things I want to collect in that information. We have to use this tool, this form, in two ways. We need to use it first to collect feedback on a call to automatically update our meeting system, but we also need to use it in a sense to automatically create a proposal. So for that, we need to collect different things such as the prospect's problems, the specific goals, kind of the consequences of not doing anything, and obviously different things, whether they're unqualified, whether the proposal is required, and the prospect's email, so we can actually link it to that specific meeting. So let's go ahead and actually go create a form on Google Forms. All right, guys, so as you can see, we're now going ahead and create a new form. Let's go ahead and actually create this. That's the best way to do it. So the name is going to be sales feedback form. Cool. So the first question we need to do was the lead qualified? And this is going to be just a yes or no question. Yes, no. We also need to ask, did you close the lead? And once again, that's going to be yes or no. And then we're going to add another very, very important question, which is, do you need to make a proposal? And once again, that's going to be yes or no. Cool. Now we go into the other questions. So we need to find out what problem the lead had. what their kind of goal or desire was, and the specific consequences. So for this, we're going to add another step, and we're going to ask, what problems did the lead have? Question mark. It's not going to be multiple choice. There's going to be a paragraph. Perfect. And then we're also going to ask, what goals did the lead have? Question mark. It's going to be a paragraph again. And then we'll add another step, which is, what consequences did the lead have? Question mark. Now, what I mean by consequences is basically what would happen if they did nothing about it. That's basically what I meant. It's just a paragraph again. And the last thing we need to collect is the lead's email. So, what is the lead's email? Not complicated at all. So, I'm going to go ahead and delete this last question. And this is pretty much it. Now, there's a couple of things you can improve it. Firstly, you'd obviously ask more questions than this, especially if you're crafting a quite detailed proposal. You're going to need a lot more than this to actually give to the AI so you can go ahead and actually create a proposal. Once again, just for the example, I think we'll do. And the second thing I'd add is I'd make a conditional form. You don't want the closers to actually go through all of this if the lead was closed, for example. So I would set up as conditional. Let's say they press yes on did you close the lead. They don't have to answer all these questions for no reason. Perfect, guys. So let me go ahead and rename this so we have a clear track of it. Perfect. And I'll go ahead and fill this out now as a closer who just finished the call. And I'll get if I send this, get that link for it because this is going to come in handy in a second automation we're actually building. Perfect, guys. So now that we've actually gone ahead and created a form, we need to set up another automation. There's a ton of different ways to actually do this, guys. You don't have to do this on Airtable. But let me explain the automation first, and then you're going to kind of understand why we kind of hosted it on Airtable. So what the goal is for this automation is whenever that call starts, we want to find the closer and then send a message to them on Slack so that they can actually fill out that form. Now, the only reason I have this is because I'm sure you know if you ever work with the closers on a long time horizon, it's hard to get them to actually update the CRM after every single call. So this way, just make sure they never forget. Simply by sending them a message right after the call, they can open up, fill out the form, and then move on with their day. Just makes it as simple as possible for it. A lot of times when you're building different systems, automations, the goal is to make the life of your employees easier. This is what the automation does. Now, once again, you could do this on Zapier by setting up specific code and then kind of delay. I think this is the easiest example, actually for YouTube, where I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible. So let's go over to Airtable and actually set this up. So once we're in Airtable, we're going to go over to automations. This isn't kind of limited to Airtable. Most project management tools or tools like Airtable have this sort of functionality. The trigger for this is going to be when record matches submissions. We could also use as scheduled times and everything like that. I think the best way to do it is when records match a submission. Table is going to be the meetings table this time, and the condition is going to be when the date is on or before, and I'm going to put today. Perfect. So what this basically does, if the specific date and the time is on right now or before, it will go ahead and trigger this automation. Now, one cool thing about Airtable, which you can see right here, trigger will fire when a record in a chosen table starts matching the provided conditions. This does not include records that already match the conditions, and that's perfect in the situation because as soon as the date becomes in the past, which basically means the sales call is happening, this is when this automation will trigger, which is what we need. You could have different conditions, but for now, I'm just going to leave it. And this is where we actually create a second step. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. For example, sending an email to trigger the automation on Zapier or something like that. For this example, I'm just going to go straight into sending that Slack message. So for this, I'm going to send a message. And for my Slack account, I've gone ahead and connected my Slack account to Airtable. Once again, you could probably do this on Zapier if you wanted to. I think this is the easiest way to do this for this video. And the message is going to be, please fill out this form. And once again, guys, all I'm doing here, guys, is including that form we created a second ago. Nothing crazy. Now that I think about it, I do want to add some variables here. Because we're going to send this on the general closer channel, I want to specify which closer should actually be filling this out. So I'll put please fill out this form. And then if I go to, let's see, the closer table, that's where we can automatically link the name of the closer who's actually taking this call. And I'm also going to add for and then the client name. Once again, just to make life a bit easier. So if I go over here, put the name of the client, just like that. Cool, guys. Very nice. And obviously, you can spice this up with the bot name and the bot icon. So what you're going to do, so we're going to put robot underscore face. Bot name is going to be home completion bot. Make life a bit easier. Cool. Now, one more thing that we thought this up is a specific channel this is going to. Once again, if you're storing that specific channel within your Airtable database, all you have to do is go over here and you turn this on so it's dynamic. And here you can automatically input it the same way we inputted the name, just by going over here and then to close the table. And then within the close the table, choosing that specific field, which will come up here. But for this example, I'm just going to be blasting this in the testing channel, which in an ideal scenario or in a specific scenario will be a channel full of your closers. Perfect, guys. So let's go ahead and generate a preview. And we're going to run the test with this specific lead right here. So as you can see, it matches the conditions and then it goes on to set up the specific text. And if they go ahead and press this, then that will automatically go on to the form. Cool. The main thing, once again, guys, the main thing we're just doing here is make sure that that closer actually completes that task of updating the form after the call. And we're also making their life a bit easier when it comes to creating proposals. All they have to do is fill out a form and then the magic is done. So just to kind of over what we just created an automation that whenever the sales call starts, it sends a message to the specific Slack channel with the closest information, with all the information that they need to actually fill out the form so we can automatically update our database after the form is actually complete. So if I go ahead and once again, and I'll change this to green because we completed, we've made some great progress. And now we move on to the last automation, which is the heavy automation, but it will allow us to create that perfect proposal from that information from the closer and the specific form. Cool. So the automation we're building out is fairly simple. It's going to trigger when the form is completed, obviously. Obviously, whenever that closer finishes the call, gets that message, opens the form, and fills out all the information. This is when this automation is going to trigger. The first thing we want to do is actually update that meeting database. Now, here's where we're going to update different things like whether the lead was qualified, whether it was closed, and all the different information there. Then we're going to set up a filter because yes, we want to update the database, but we don't want to create proposals for everyone, only for people that actually requested a proposal. So that's what a filter does. If they do request a proposal, then we'll go down the process of creating a proposal. Now for this, we're going to use AI to create some sections, and we're obviously going to go ahead and create a proposal, and then we're going to send a proposal to the closer. Now, if you start implementing this and you see everything fine, you can send this directly to the lead, but at least at the start, guys, but AI can be quite tricky, and you don't want to send a random proposal to a very, very hot lead that's full of mistakes. So I recommend first send it to the closer within a Slack channel, and then they can double check it and make sure everything's fine, and then you can go send it to the prospects. But if you're really, really confident in your prompting skills, then go ahead, send it straight to the actual prospect. It's a fairly similar process anyways. So let's get started and actually building this automation. Let's go back to Zapier and we'll start with the trigger. Hey guys, Leo from the future here. Just a quick little detour from wherever it is you're watching. I'm happy to announce that we just released our brand new community, but this will be a community for different agency owners who are looking to set up different skill-proof systems. Within the community, if you go up to the classroom section, you can see we've already preloaded every single resource from our different YouTube videos, and this is just going to keep growing and growing. For example, if you want some of the different automation blueprints, the templates, or any other resources from the video you're watching right now, you can check out the first link in the description to join the community and get access to this classroom where we have all the different resources from all the different YouTube videos. We also have a couple of cool things in here, such as different unlocks at different levels. But the key part of this is that I want to create a place where any of you guys can just ask me different questions and communicate directly with my team, where I can also share insights on things that are currently working within our partners' agencies. As with everything else that we do, this is a 100% free community. I'm not charging you a single penny for this. It's just a way for me to provide even more value, what we're already doing with all the different YouTube videos. I don't want to say too much, guys. All the information can be found in the description. It also is a public group, so before joining, you can have a look around, different conversations that are going on, and the different things that are available. If you think this is something that is interest to you, please go ahead and actually check out the first link in the description to join. And I'm sure I'll catch you inside the community, guys. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this community growing and becoming the biggest place for agency owners who are actually looking to set up skill-proof systems. I'll let you get back to the video now. Thanks. I'll see you inside. Bye bye. All right, guys. So we've gone ahead and now created the last automation of this video. Let's do the trigger. So firstly, this is going to be Google Forms because that's the specific form tool we're using. Once again, if you're using something different, feel free to integrate that. So we're going to go for Google Forms and let's go ahead and actually set that step up. So for the event, it's going to be a new form response, and I'm going to go ahead and connect to our account. Perfect. Now, here's where you choose a specific form. In our example, it was the sales feedback form right there. Perfect. and we go ahead and test this. Now, it doesn't have any responses, so let me quickly go ahead and fill out a random response that we can actually use. And you know what? I'm going to fill out two responses. One lead that doesn't require a proposal, and one for a lead that doesn't require a proposal, so you get an idea of how this actually works. So let me go and actually fill this out. All right, guys. So once I'm here, if I go over to actually test the trigger, we should see the two form responses that I just filled out right now. Like I said, for one of them, I did say we need a proposal, and for the other one, I said we didn't need a proposal. So let's see how this goes. We should see two of them if everything works correctly. At the moment, you only can see one. Let's see, find new records maybe, and it should come in hopefully. Perfect, just like that. Secure form responses. The first one, we don't need a proposal, and for the second one, we do need a proposal, and I obviously included some answers from their problems, what goals they had, and the kind of consequences they had by not, issue, I guess. Now we need to move on to the first step, which is actually updating that database. So for this, we're going to search for Airtable. And in order to actually update the database, 90% positive that the first thing we need to do is actually find that initial record. So we're going to find the record by using the email of the lead that we collected from the form and is updated already in the database. So for the base, it's going to be the sales meeting up again. And for the table, we're going to go for the meetings table. And then for the field we're actually looking for, this is similar to what we did in the first step when we're actually updating that closer. We're going to look for the lead's email. And then we're going to enter that search value, which you get straight from the form, as that's one of the questions that we actually asked, just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and press continue. And we're going to test the step, and we should see a response coming in because I believe this is the email of the actual person in our database. As you can see, we have it, testing robbers. So now that we've actually found the lead, we're going to go ahead and actually update it. So for this, we're going to search for Airtable again. And this specific event this time, if you scroll down, is going to be update a record. I'm going to press continue again. The base is going to be the sales meeting hub. One the table is going to be the meetings table. Now, for the record, we're going to go custom, and then we're going to insert the ID from the previous step, which is why I found the record before we can actually update it. And now we can go ahead and update different things. So for qualified, it might be a bit tricky now that I think about it. I mean, test it out live, guys. To keep this kind of perfect, but I do also sometimes want to show you my thought process behind these different things. My theory is that if we put straight no or yes, then it will not work. We might have to convert that to something else first. But let's see. Let's see. Was lead qualified? Yes. And if we go continue and just test this, just to make sure it's working properly. It worked properly, then we should get a check mark on the Airtable database. If we have any other sort of error, then we need to go back and kind of touch up something. Let's see. We'll close this automation. We'll go back to data. We'll do this later. And for the meetings, if we scroll to closer, perfect. So you can see nice. So that saves a lot of time. It'll let you guys know if that didn't work when you have to set up a previous step to basically format the yeses or nos into true and false. That's usually what you have to do for something like Notion. But now I'm happy with this, going to leave it. Let's go back to the automation. Let's go ahead and fill out the information for the rest of the actual things. So we have qualified, but we also need to do the exact same thing for closed. If we scroll down to did you close the lead? No. Proposal. Let's scroll down to yes. And you can also go ahead and add those notes from the responses. So for example, problem, boom, and enter the problems. Consequences, boom, and enter the consequences. And goals, enter the goals. These are all from the form responses, guys. And this just allows us to keep that sales meeting hub up to date every single time they basically work cool. So I'm going to press continue. And let's go ahead and test this again to make sure everything is working properly, guys. So if we go back to our meeting hub and we find the specific lead right here, you can see proposal yes. And if you open up the problems, you can actually see all those notes in that we automatically filled out in the Google form. Very cool, guys. Now we need to go ahead and actually set up a trigger. But everything past this step is stuff that we're going to do only for people that actually need a proposal. I said trigger, I didn't mean trigger, I meant funnel or filter. I'm thinking properly today, guys. But let's go ahead and actually set up this filter. So the condition for this is we're only going to continue if, and then we're going to open our form responses. And for the does the lead need a proposal, it's going to make sure it contains yes. So this is only going to pass through 4 leads that actually can need a proposal. And we can actually test this. For this one, it should work, right? But if you go ahead and choose this record right here, where they don't need a proposal, we test this again, it should not continue. Check that. So it should say no. Hopefully, if you set this up properly, Boom, just like that. Let's go back to that initial record because that's the kind of the one we're going to be dealing with all the different data. So fortunately for you, actually, the camera cut out as I was recording the second half of the automation with the AI side of things. Don't worry, I'm just going to go ahead and record it again. In hindsight, it's probably a good thing because I already got some practice doing this. So the last thing we actually did was create the filter that only allows this automation to continue from this point forward if the closer on that Google form said yes in terms of them creating a proposal. Now we're going to go ahead and actually create a presentation. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can create a presentation using, I don't know, a contract, Google form, a presentation deck. In this example, we're going to use a presentation slide deck, but you can do this on so many different ways. And in the second part of the video, when I go over ways to actually improve this, I'm actually going to talk about how to actually include this directly in a contract, because I think that's the best way to do this. Now I'm just going to show you how to do this within your own slide deck. All right, guys, so this is the presentation we're actually going to be editing. I'm just going to go through the slides and show you the bits we're actually going to be importing using AI. Now, it's very, very important for me to say that this is just an example. You no means feel like you have to copy this exactly. This is not the case. There's a bunch of different things you can do here. And the whole aim of this is I'll show you the automation side of things. And because I can't physically apply it for every single person that's watching it in terms of different niches, even different types of agencies, it's your job to basically take the frameworks I'm showing you today and apply it to your specific pitch deck, for example. So this example we're going to be offering here, we're going to be importing the problem that we get from the Google form where the closer fills out after the call. Here we're going to be importing the consequences, and here we're going to be importing the goal statement, and all of this is going to be generated using AI. And then obviously just a final slide where you can basically ask them what they think. Nothing complicated, guys. For now, let's go ahead and talk about how we're actually going to be generating these responses using AI. Now, one very, very important thing I want to mention is when using AI automation, there's two main things you can do. You can go down the road of building your own prompts within the automation itself, or you can go down the road of creating your own assistant. When you go build your home prompts, you basically add the specific prompt within the automation itself, and then you get output like this. When you do it with an assistant, you can add a specific prompt for the assistant on the back end, but you can also add supporting files. For example, PDFs of your offer, PDFs of usual problems your client have, for example, and combine it on the back end to the GPT to give you much more accurate responses based on your specific circumstances. If you think of AI as accessing all the data in the internet, your assistant still has access to the data, will prioritize the stuff that's actually related to the documents you produce and kind of use those as its own internal intelligent hubs. If you look at these two responses, right, we're asking the exact same question, but we're getting drastically different responses. And this is from just prompting it using AI. Using an assistant is always a clear winner for me anyways. And if you're setting up a proper automation and you're actually implementing this system I'm about to show you today in your agency properly, then I recommend setting up an assistant first and then going ahead and setting up the automations using that assistant you created. If you want a video going over how you can actually set up your custom assistant, I recommend checking out this video right here. I recorded a couple months ago, but I'm sure everything will still be fairly similar. For this video, I don't see the benefit of me creating an assistant just because I don't have a specific PDF that I can show you all the different problems, everything like that. Like I said, a lot of different people watch this channel is mainly agency owners, but we have a bunch of different types of agencies and a bunch of different niches. For me, it'll be impossible to show you every single type of system for all the different people that are actually watching this. So for this example, we're just going to go ahead and create prompts within the actual assistant. Another thing I want to mention is that this is by no means is a prompting masterclass. Don't copy exactly what I'm showing you here. Once again, I'm mainly showing you the automation side of things because the prompt you'd have to edit based on your specific circumstances. If you want another video going over how to actually create the best prompts for your automations, now that I think about it, I've never actually recorded anything like that, so I'm more than happy to do that. Drop a comment, I'll add it to the pipeline as soon as possible. Let's go back to our automation now because there's three different prompts we actually want to create. So because we're extracting three different pieces, we need to extract firstly the problem from the Google responses, the consequence that the lead is actually having because of that problem, and the desired goal, so we can all add that in the proposal and within our slide. You could do this all in one prompt. However, I'm going to make things simpler for us to actually deal with. So I'm going to split up into three different requests. So if I go within an automation and another step, and this time I'm going to search for ChatGPT. You can use a different AI model base if you'd like. Perplexity, for example. Just to keep it simple, everyone knows ChatGPT was going to go with that one. For the event, we're going to go over to conversation. Now, if you create an assistant, then go ahead and go with conversation with assistant and then go ahead and select your assistant. But for this example, we're just going to go with conversation and then go ahead and actually connect your account. All right, so once we're here, this is where we can actually put our user message. Now, for this specific one, we're just trying to extract the problem. So I'm going to say, this is a problem my closer uncovered for my prospect on a discovery call. I want to include this in a presentation slash proposal. So break down the problem that this prospect is having. Perfect. Now I'm just gonna leave it as that. I want to put, and then I need to, very, very important part, I want to put a problem and then insert that response from the Google Sheet to the specific question problem. So what problems did Leave had? Perfect. Cool. So we can go ahead and actually test this. Honestly, guys, once again, this is not a prompting masterclass. I can record another video on that if you'd like. This is not the main purpose of this video. I just want to show you different automations. So let's go ahead and test it and see what kind of response we get and what kind of from there. Oh, so this is gonna have to go away. So we're gonna have to restructure the problem a bit because we don't want to include this in our presentation. Oh, it looks like it's broken on the problem quite well. The only thing I don't like is that it's asking a lot of questions, which you don't really want. We just kind of just outline the problem basically. So let's go back. I'm gonna play around with it, play around with this prompt to get a much better outcome. All right, guys. So it's kind of gone off on a rampage. It's given us 10 points based on that problem, which had issue increasing the conversion rates for the B2C funnel. It's given us a bunch of different options, which I'm not upset with. Happy with this. We're going to leave it as that. If you guys want to see the original prompt, I just changed it very, very slightly. I just told it do not output anything apart from the broken down problem because at a previous step, it kind of said, okay, sir, let me do this for you. If you don't want it, because obviously they know it's AI generated. Once again, don't feel the need to copy this. I just want to give you an example because there's by no means a prompting masterclass. Cool. So we're going to leave this as that. We're going to do the exact same thing for the consequences and then for the goals. So I'm going to add another step. I'm going to put ChatGPT. And once again, this is going to be conversation. If you do have your assistant set up, then go with conversation for assistant. But for this example, we're just going to go conversation. Perfect. Now for the user message, I'm actually going to go back to action and copy and paste this because I wasn't too upset by the response they gave us. It was a bit long, but it's all right. We can make it work with that. So for user message, I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm just going to reword this for the consequence side of things. Cool. So I went ahead and basically rewrote that. I did also include a problem in the specific prompt. I hope this doesn't confuse the AI too much. The reason I did that was going to give us some actual context. So if we go ahead and press continue, we can test this just to see what kind of output we get. Once again, we probably have to change it, play around with it, but let's see. Right, if we scroll down, leader pressure for leadership, reputation at stake. You know what, honestly, I'm not a massive fan of this response. I think it's kind of listing out the specific things. I'm just going to move forward for now. I feel like that would give the prospect a good understanding of the actual consequences of their problem. However, at the same time, I don't know if I'd actually ever include this in an actual proposal because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But for now, let's just say prospects will be happy with this. So let's just do the exact same thing for the actual goals, which is the main purpose of the proposal. So once again, we're going to search for ChatGPT. And then for the event, once again, we're going to conversation. Now for the message, I'm actually going to rewrite a different prompt. I'm going to say, this is, and then I'll put the goal. And then once again, just get that straight from Google form responses. Perfect. And I'm also going to include a problem. Once again, just to give us some context on what the goal is actually related to. Cool. So let's go ahead and test this, see what kind of response we get. And then once we've actually done that, if the prompt isn't something crazy, I'm going to go ahead and actually show you how to actually create a presentation within a Google slide automatically. It's quite a cool automation that you can use in a bunch of different use cases, not just proposals, the kind of prompts we're dealing with. So see, I had a feeling this was going to happen. It basically just repeated the goal that I actually said. So I'm going to go back to the prompt and I'm going to go ahead and do you generated and add you generated. That should solve the problem. As before, I think I just got a bit confused and just outputted a specific response. So let's retest this and let's see what we actually get. So the response wasn't anything crazy. It was a bit short. Honestly, I'm just going to leave it for now. This is not a prompting masterclass, guys. I think I repeated myself about 4 times now. So this is the output we got the second time round. Am I a massive fan of this? No. Would I probably include this in a proposal? No. I just want to show you the automation side of things. So obviously you change this prompt around And honestly, the best way to do that, just go into ChatGPT and ask it to generate you a nice prompt. Can be used for so many different use cases, and prompted itself is actually one of the great use cases that I always use it for. Ask it kind of specific questions, and eventually you get a prompt. When it comes to these things, you have to play around with it quite a long time. Just go back and forth, tweaking it slightly to get a perfect response. Um, that's not the purpose for this video, which is why, I'm skipping through this, I guess, and not taking a much deeper dive into each one of these individual free prompts. Obviously, if you were doing this properly, you'd have to do that. You don't really have a choice because you don't want to put clearly AI generated responses in your proposal because it just makes you seem as if you didn't really take the time to, care for your prospect, basically, which you obviously don't want. But for now, we're just going to leave it. I'm not upset by it. Let's go ahead and show you how to automatically import this into your presentation. So the first thing we need to do is add another step. And for this, we're going to be using Google Slides, which is right here. All we're going to do is basically create a presentation from the initial template I showed you a second ago. For the event, I'm going to put create presentation from template. I'm going to press continue. So you connect your account. And we're going to put the title of the new presentation. Now, it would be ideal if you went down here and within the form response, we actually collected the prospect's name. So we have the name right here. So we can actually just include it straight away. I'm going to put their name and then proposal. Perfect. And then for the template presentation, I went ahead and selected that slide deck I showed you a second ago, which is called Your No-Brainer Offer. And as you can see here, we automatically have those kind of fields I saw earlier automatically filled in. The way to actually do that, guys, and this is specifically for anything related to Google, so you can do this exact same thing with Google Docs using the method I'm about to show you, is you want to put your specific queries that you want to add in these little squiggly brackets here. Honestly, I don't know what they're called, but you want to put 2 of them and then label it whatever you want and then 2 of them again. As you can see, that's what I did for here. That's what I did for here. And also for the client name right here. And if you go back to Zapier, you can see all of those different fields are outlined here, so I can just easily input it based on the responses. So for example, if we go to client name, I can import that straight from here. And then for the problem statement, I'm going to import it from the first AI generated response just by importing the reply. Same exact thing for the consequence statement, but this time I go for the second one and then scroll down to reply. And then lastly, I'll do that exact same thing for the goal statement just by scrolling all the way to the bottom and then input in a reply. Perfect. So this is the presentation pretty much done. I am going to make this shared to anyone with a link can actually view, just so we can easily share this with the closer on Slack in the next step. But for now, let's go ahead and actually test this to see what kind of presentation we actually come up with, because sometimes the text is just too long and it doesn't fit in a specific box, so you have to do stuff like change the size of the text, everything like that. But let's see what we basically come up with. Cool, so it looks like it's gone ahead and actually generated a presentation. If you scroll all the way down, we should be able to see the link. We have a bunch of different links here, so let's go ahead and actually test this out to see what we actually created. All right, so this is our testing Robert's proposal. That was the prospect's name. Let's go ahead and see what it actually come up with while it loads. So we have the name on the actual slide deck. We have the client problems, which, as I suspected, the text was way too long, so we're gonna have to make this smaller, but it actually fits. We have the consequences as well, and how we're actually gonna help them achieve their goal. Cool. So let's go back to the template, edit the text, and then we have to do the last step of automation, which is basically sharing this link with a closer. All right, that's all wrapped up. Now let's just follow the last step of automation, which is sharing with a closer. Now for this, I'm going to use Slack again, and I'm going to send a channel message to that testing channel. Once again, if you store your closer's Slack channel ID or even the direct information within your kind of build out earlier, you can automatically send this directly to the closer. For now, we're just going to send it to the group chat just to make life a bit easier for everyone. If I go to Slack, I'm going to scroll down to send channel message. Obviously, go ahead and actually connect your account. And once you're in action, you want to choose a channel, which in this case is the testing channel. And then for the message, I'm just going to put new proposal created for, and I'm going to enter that lead specific name, which is testing robbers. And then I'm just going to include the link to the actual proposal by going over to this step right here, and then scrolling down all the way to the bottom to the alternate link, just like that. Perfect. I'm not going to send this as a bot. I am going to send this as a bot, and the bot name is going to be proposal bot. And then I can put robot underscore face just to clean up a bit. And I'm not going to include the link to this. No. Perfect. Cool. So this is automation pretty much done. Now let's go ahead and actually fill out the form with different responses. You can get an idea of how this actually works. So as you can see, I'm just going ahead and actually publish automation. I'm going to fill out the form live with you guys. We should get a response with a custom presentation and also update in our own CRM platform. So as you can see, we have our sales feedback form here. And let's go ahead and actually fill this out. So then for the email, I'm going to put the same email as the lead in the CRM, which was leo@fluxomate.com. Perfect. So we're going to hit submit, and now the magic should automatically happen. The way we know it, we should get a message within a Slack channel with the link to the actual proposal. So let's go ahead and wait for that. All right, guys. So as you can see, we just got a message here with a proposal bot with the new kind of link to the presentation. So if you go ahead and click this, it's gone ahead and taken me straight to the presentation. Perfect. Once again, this is testing robots, but if we scroll down, it should be a bit different. So let's go ahead and preview this. Got the name there, client problems there. Once again, you have to edit the text because as you can see, this is way too long, even though I shortened it. I see target audience misalignment, inefficient ad messaging. This is just a problem outlined with it is where the challenge was acquiring PPC leads. We have the consequences, which is loss of potential customers, increase in competitive advantage, and financial disability. And we have the actual goal to scale to 100K a month using our system. Guys, that's the proposal basically done. We just gone ahead and create an automation that will automatically create custom proposals using 3 different AI prompts that you can easily just send straight to your closers after doing some editing. The only reason I send this to your closers, like I said earlier, is because at the start, especially if you're not used to prompting, it's your first time doing something like this, the presentations won't be A1. Like this one today, this is by no means in any way perfect. There's no way I would even send this to a prospect I'd even care about. But over time, it's going to get better and better. And once you get a confidence and your presentation is actually good straight from the jump, rather than sending it to a closer that can review it and then send it to the lead, you can go ahead and create an automation that just automatically sends it straight to the lead by email or whatever kind of platform you use to communicate with your leads. I will say, guys, all of these different automations, along with the different templates, presentation, the Airtable database, everything can be found in the first link in the description. By the time you're watching this, we might actually have released our new school community. You can find obviously ways to join that in the description. So hopefully I can see you inside there where you can ask me questions one-to-one and access all the different resources you put together in one place for you guys. But that's pretty much it for this automation, guys. We've gone ahead and now created a system that can automatically create proposals. And before we move over to the next steps and how to actually take this to the next level, I quickly want to go over everything we've created so far. So firstly, we started off by creating our sales hub. Now, like I said, this was more of a sales meeting hub rather than just a sales hub. We created an Airtable database that tracks the different meetings and the different meetings that each closer was having and linked them together. Then we go ahead and create a first automation that whenever a call is booked, it found the closer and updated this database as well as sending them a specific Slack message or let them know they actually have a call booked. Then we went ahead and set up our form. This is the form that the closer would fill in straight after the sales to have information to actually update the database and have the relevant information if a proposal was required. And then we set up an internal automation within Airtable that whenever the call starts, it would find the closer and then send a message to them on Slack with a link to the form, just reminding them that I actually need to complete the form. If you ever work with closers, you know how much of a headache it is to actually get them to consistently update the CRM. So this automation basically deals with that. And then we went and built the last bad boy automation, probably the biggest one, where we triggered it whenever the form was completed. We automatically update the CRM or the sales meeting hub, filtered it, whereas if proposals are created, it would continue, and if it wasn't, it would stop right there. And then we went ahead and used 3 different AI prompts to set up our specific conditions for the proposal, which we automatically imported within a Google slide and then send that to the relevant closer on Slack. It's been quite the journey, guys. Let's talk about how you can actually take this to the next level. So the first thing is the Airtable database. Like I said, this wasn't a sales hub. It was more of a sales meeting hub. So if I was doing this properly, I'd also include another database to track the different leads. We had that kind of within the meeting side of things. We were tracking the name and email. What I would recommend doing is having a complete separate table within Airtable or whatever operating system you'd actually want to do, where you can track the different leads. And here you can track different things such as the name, the assigned meeting, specific notes for the lead, the sales stage they're in, the relevant close they're actually dealing with, the potential value, and obviously the company name. I would also recommend doing this on a custom system rather than something like Airtable. So if you want an idea of how you can actually build something like that, you can check out this video right here showing you how you can check how you can set up your own project management system from scratch for your agency. The second thing I want to improve, this is something I actually got from Jerry Minor, which is one of the biggest sales guys in this industry, is to include this perfect proposal in a contract. The moment we hand it to them in a slide deck through email, which just creates more step in the sales cycle. And I'll explain why. Let's say your prospect is interested. They're going to have to send your email to tell you're interested. They're going to have to wait for you to reply. They're going to have to wait for you to actually draw up a contract, sign the contract, and then they can get started. That just adds extra unnecessary steps to the sales cycle, which you don't want. You want to make it as easy for them to get started as possible. So what Jeremiah likes to do is just include the proposal in a contract, and at the end of it, you can have some sort of terms of agreement that you can just easily sign straight away, and then it can go straight with the onboarding process as soon as possible. The difference that implementing something this can have is really immense. And even for myself, I tried to do all my proposals on a contract just to decrease the number of steps that the prospect actually has to complete to actually get started with us. And the third thing you could potentially add is more AI. This is for you guys out there that love to use AI within your agencies, which surprisingly isn't too many people. At the moment, right, we're having a closer fill out that form after the call. And then from that form being completed, we get all that information and then go ahead and create that perfect proposal. What you could do instead, you can set up automation that automatically detects when a new recording is uploaded, then transcribes it, analyzes the meeting to find the specific outputs such as the problems or that are qualified and proposals, and then goes ahead and completes the automation with those outputs from that transcript. Now, obviously, this is a lot more complicated, which is why even though I initially wanted to do this, I kind of opted out from it just to keep it as simple as possible for you guys just to follow along and just automatically import it within your agency, let's say within half an hour or however long this video is. But this basically eliminates even the need for your closer to go ahead and complete that form after your sales call. Technically, if you want to be super nitpick about it, you're taking time away that they could be selling. And once again, they might fill in the form in a rush, not outline the problems properly. When it comes to using something like AI and transcribing a meeting and actually analyze it using AI, be sure to, if you set up properly, to get those specific problems out of the call without missing a single detail. Definitely something I would recommend if you have a bit more experience using AI. Once again, this is a bit more complicated, but if you do want a video of me going over it, I can record a part 2 to this video. You guys how to actually set this up. But guys, that's pretty much it. You now know how to automatically create custom proposals. Now, this video is a bit more than that. I kind of created a whole proposal system with 3 different automations and 2 different setups of both the sales hub and the form. But I didn't want to leave any detail out, guys. Because if I just showed you the last automation that we set up where you just create a proposal, it wouldn't give you guys as much context of how you can actually apply within your agency, which is why I kind of opted in to make this video a bit longer so you can get a full understanding of this complete proposal system. If you have any questions about anything I talked about today, please leave a comment. Or by the time you're watching this, we should have actually released our school community, so you can actually join in there. It's 100% free, access a lot of different resources, and ask many questions on there. But guys, that's pretty much it from me. If you like what you saw today, make sure to like and subscribe. We release content like this twice a week at minimum. If you want kind of more insights on how to set up different automations, streamline operations, or even set up different internal tools for your agency, I recommend liking and subscribing so you see more videos like this on your feed. And one thing I would recommend is watching this video right here, which basically just goes over what I would think is a perfect SMA sales system. This doesn't specifically talk about secret sales scripts or secret sales techniques. It's more looking at sales from an operational side of view and showing you different things you need to set up within different stages in that sales cycle to ensure that you actually increase that percentage of leads that are being closed into your program or whatever offer you're actually offering. It's a great video and an example of how you can actually order your system and the different departments within that. But I've got a video coming soon on that as well, so make sure to keep an eye on that. Apart from that, guys, it's been a pleasure actually recording this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to actually support you guys in any way I can. I say this a lot, but we're a very small channel. So if you drop a comment, we're 100% going to see it and give you an in-depth response. So please don't be shy. Don't hesitate to check out all the links in the description to access all the different templates. Because they're there for a reason. They're 100% free, so I recommend you make the most of it. And implementing something like this in your agency can have a massive difference. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure recording this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.